Varvid.
Hi, this is Aaron Booker with Varvid.com. I'm here with Brad Minner from XBAR on Pioneer Square in Seattle, right?
That's right, yeah. I run an IT services company. We've been in business 7 years, and happy to be here in Las Vegas for SMB Nation.
What is, you've been to a few of these before, I think, and what is something that you're noticing about this particular SMB Nation?
Well, certainly there's always a new topic every year. For the last couple of years, it's been focused on managed services and everything that goes into being a managed service provider. I think this year a lot of people are talking about cloud computing, and the question inevitably is, well, I hope the question is, well, what is that, and what does that actually mean? Although I have noticed that people are not asking that question. So they talk about cloud computing, and then I think I get the sense that a lot of people are actually talking about different things.
One thing, I mean, and there's a number of vendors here, so that's a change too. Like Google Apps is here. There's all kinds of different cloud this and cloud that. I mean, yeah. What vendors are you interested in, or what kinds of things are you interested in? What does cloud mean to you?
Well, I mean, that's the $40,000 question, right? So for me, I don't typically like to adopt these sort of terms like managed services. Like literally, I mean, we've been a managed service provider for almost 3 years now, and just in the last 3 months I've decided it's okay to use that term. The fundamental problem is not this term or that term, is are people using it to mean something and able to communicate a similar set of ideas. I feel like managed services finally got distilled down to a definition that there's a generally accepted understanding of what that means, at least from an IT services perspective. Certainly there are other vendors that are, quote unquote, providing managed services. Now, cloud computing, I think, is going to have to go through that similar evolution. It's like what does that mean? So it can mean anything from hosted, certain pieces of the IT puzzle being hosted in a data center. I was about to say in the cloud, but it's like we can't use the word to define the word. Things like SharePoint, Exchange, maybe a hosted CRM application. Salesforce.com, I think, is a great example of something that was built from the ground up, that's been in, quote-unquote, the cloud for a long time, and we're seeing that phenomenon play out in multiple other fronts.
And on managed services, of course, there's a number of cloud, I mean, of course, Zenith would be cloud. That's in a data center. There's a number of other things, PSA tools, Autotask, ConnectWise hosted.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, and again, the thing that often doesn't get talked about is what problem are we solving, right? So cloud computing, great, shiny new object, let's all focus on it. But ultimately, what utility is it going to serve? What value is it going to provide? So for me, the thing I'm particularly interested about and intrigued by in terms of these sort of new cloud computing options, and again, we need to define what that is, we can do that, but is some of the cost savings that I think are going to be coming down and being made available to our clients. So, the story I like to tell is that, an SBS installation 5 years ago when we were sort of forming our practice was a $6,000 project. And what we learned is that maybe we were under-speccing the hardware and the project, the actual implementation time, that there was maybe these 6 other things that if we were doing a true implementation needed to be attended to. So we added those in, and so over time we would just sort of subtly improve the project as a whole, and it went from being a $6,000 project to a $12,000 to $15,000 project. That's a considerable investment for small businesses. There's no doubt about that, right? Small businesses look at that and they're like, whoa, how am I going to do this? So then you apply some analysis. Okay, well, it's an asset and it's going to be in service for 3 to 4 years, or it should be if you plan properly. And you start looking at the costs on a yearly basis and you break that down on a monthly basis, and it comes out to be a few $100s a month. That's something a lot of small businesses can wrap their mind around. But the problem then, so then you take it another step, which is, okay, what about backup? And what about support, right? So those costs were never very transparent up front. So when we get into the managed services space and we now have an incremental cost for providing fixed fee support on a server, and maybe that's $300 to $400 a month, okay, that's a considerable addition now on that monthly cost that you're tagging on. So that $300 to $500 investment, that was really a capital investment being spread over 3 to 4 years, you're adding another $400 for support, so you've just doubled that, right? Okay, then backup, what about backup? So of course we want to do something along the lines of the Zenith BDR, something that are able to get these backups off-site in an automated fashion, and you look at another $200 to $400 a month for that. So all of a sudden you've taken this $300 to $500 solution that our clients could get their heads wrapped around from a capital expense perspective, but you're then adding all of these operating costs on it, and you've now taken a $6,000 SBS project, and it's becoming a $30,000 to $40,000 total cost to the client over 3 to 4 years. Those numbers are they're not feasible anymore. And I'm not talking about, and the things we're not including are, renewals on security services, hosted spam, email security, like all of the other suite of products and solutions that are still issues. Our clients are still struggling with certain issues, and these other products attend to those issues. So that's a problem. And I've gotten to the point in our own business over the last year where I'm really struggling with what to recommend clients. And what I've found is that the type of client that we can work with, i.e. the type of client that can sustain those sorts of investments and that truly gets the return on those sorts of monies, the bar is going up. So we're not able to work with 2 or 3 person clients anymore, employee companies. We're looking at, and it used to be 5, and then it's gone to 10 and 15, and now we're seeing that really the work that we're doing is being limited by the economics to 5 to 50, 15 to 50 employee companies. But the problem is those 1 to 15 employee companies still need this technology. They still have the same set of needs, but it's become not accessible.
Well, and in my opinion, in some ways, those smaller companies, they need to be even more nimble, more dynamic.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you could absolutely make the case that they need these technologies more than anybody, right? So the question becomes, as an IT professional and as an owner of an IT services business, what are we going to do about that? I haven't had a lot of really great ideas, but I have seen in the promise of cloud computing the scale and the efficiency that comes with some of the technologies. And again, we haven't defined what that is, and we should, but there's, I think, a tremendous amount of promise there to actually get these tools and reduce the cost, both the capital and the ongoing costs, and make them available to these companies that, are 1 person, but that have the potential to be a 25-person firm. So that's what I get most excited about, is really making this stuff more accessible.